Okay, it's hardly out of the blue this one, but Red Bull marched to the constructors title this weekend thanks to another victory for Max Verstappen this season. The title could have actually been wrapped up a week ago in Singapore at the earliest, but things didn't go the Milton Keynes-based team's way on the street circuit. Back to the more traditional look of Suzuka this weekend, and Verstappen was once again in imperious form with his 13th win of the season, crowning his team as Constructors champions for a 6th time, just 2 off the 8 that Mercedes have amassed since returning to the sport in 2010. Unbelievable weekend, of course, said Verstappen after the race, cooing with delight to be back on the top step of the podium and to have the team title for 2023 wrapped up. I think the car was working really well on every compound. Of course, the most important was to win the Constructors. Very proud of everyone working at the track, but also back at the factory. We are having an incredible year and I'm very proud of everyone. Elsewhere, it seems Mercedes need the big boss to be at the helm when it comes to getting their race weekends up to ship-shape form, as the Silver Arrows had a torrid few days in Japan that culminated in a strategy disaster at the end of the Grand Prix on Sunday. Team principal Toto Wolff, as we mentioned a week ago, was absent from the pit wall due to knee surgery that he was having after a bike accident in the summer. But without the authority figure on the pit wall, the team's weekend culminated in an awful strategy blunder, which saw them handing points to Ferrari in the Constructors' battle for second. George Russell was running on older hard tyres after attempting a one-stop strategy on Sunday with his teammate Lewis Hamilton on fresh rubber directly behind him. The pair were 5th and 6th, with Carlos Sainz hot on their heels in 7th in his Ferrari. With a couple of laps to go, the order came from the pit wall for Russell to allow the faster Mercedes of Hamilton through, leaving the younger driver then almost stranded to defend against the Scuderia car behind the pair. Russell protested the order over the radio, feeling, like many sitting at home, that the Mercedes would have a better chance of 5th and 6th with the faster Hamilton behind Russell to help defend both positions as a duo rather than leaving George stranded on his own. It was clear to see. However, the pit lane insisted, and sure enough, Hamilton went through with Sainz following suit past Russell just a lap later. The weekend had been untidy before that, with the two Mercedes teammates going wheel to wheel on a number of occasions during the race, just centimetres away from a collision that could have taken both drivers out of the equation. The young man for Mercedes, Russell, was clearly a frustrated figure after the weekend's racing, admitting that he used the team radio to vent his frustrations. When you're in the car 48 laps in, you're giving it everything, you're making a suboptimal strategy try to work. That radio is a bit of a venting tool to release some frustration. Overtaking was difficult. You saw Piastri with much fresher tyres, a much faster car this weekend. He didn't fly by. It took him 2 laps to achieve that, and he only just achieved it. It's easy in hindsight, but for me right now, the goal is to secure P2 for the team in the Constructors. That second spot isn't looking too secure now for Mercedes, with Ferrari just 20 points behind the Silver Arrows in the Constructors' battle with 6 races to go this season. But at least Toto Wolff will be back soon to whip his team into shape in time for Qatar. And finally, is trouble brewing at McLaren, with Oscar Piastri being warned by a former F1 world champion that he's walking into Lando Norris's house when it comes to the pecking order at McLaren. The Australian rookie is having a sensational year with the Woking-based team, looking increasingly comfortable in the car and with the level of racing he's facing. On Saturday in Japan, Piastri outperformed his young but more experienced teammate Norris to take second on the grid, with Lando getting a better start going into turn 1 on Sunday to re-establish the pecking order within the McLarens on track. Piastri during the race 2 was ordered to make way for his faster teammate on track by the pit wall, but the F1 debutant is showing he's ready to compete with Norris and help drive McLaren up the pecking order in the sport. It couldn't last forever, Lando knows that, said Formula 1 world champion Damon Hill after seeing the step up Piastri has made this season. This is a game where there is always someone who is going to come to your house and start putting his feet up on the table and making himself a cup of tea. Lando recognises it's not nice having a quick teammate, he'd rather not have one. The team themselves will have been elated with this weekend in Japan with the double podium finish for the two McLaren drivers, with Piastri finishing in the top 3 for the first time in his Formula 1 career, but Norris and others will know that the Australian will be looking up at least one more spot and eyeing his chance to usurp his teammate at some point. At McLaren, let battle commence. There is plenty more fallout to get into from the Japanese Grand Prix. Of course, there's still turmoil at Alpine as Pierre Gasly was frustrated with team orders. Fernando Alonso admitted that he completely ignored the team orders from Aston Martin over the weekend. Seems like the talk on the radio is the talk of the town when it comes to the fallout from Suzuka. We've got all of that on GPFans.com and GPFans Global across social media, and hit subscribe down below to stick with us with the main headlines when it comes to the news on F1 and our specials here at GPFans Global.